Have you ever wondered why some people seem unshakable, no matter what life throws at them, while others crumble at the smallest challenge? The ancient Stoics discovered something profound, a set of daily practices that transform ordinary individuals into pillars of strength and wisdom. Today I'm going to share with you 12 powerful Stoic habits that will fundamentally change how you approach each day. These aren't just philosophical concepts, they're practical tools that have been tested for over 2,000 years. But before we begin, I need you to do something crucial for the next few moments. Put aside all distractions, focus deeply on what I'm about to share with you, because this knowledge has the potential to revolutionize your entire existence. Are you ready? Let's begin. Habit number 1, wake before the world does. There's something almost magical about the early morning hours when the world is still asleep and silence wraps around you like a blanket. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius himself would rise before dawn, not because he had to, but because he chose to. When you wake early, you're not just gaining extra hours, you're claiming sovereignty over your day. Think about it. In those quiet moments before sunrise, you have the opportunity to set your intentions, to prepare your mind for whatever challenges await. This isn't about depriving yourself of sleep, it's about intentional living. The modern world constantly demands our attention from the moment we open our eyes. Notifications, messages, emails, all screaming for our immediate response. But when you wake before the world does, you create a sacred space, a buffer zone where you belong only to yourself. During this time, you can reflect on your values, remind yourself of what truly matters, and fortify your mind against the chaos that inevitably comes. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The early morning hours are when you can dismantle those imaginary sufferings before they take root. Consider this: if you wake up rushed, scrambling to get ready, reacting to the demands of others, from the very first moment you've already surrendered your power. But if you wake with purpose, with intention, you step into your day as a conscious creator rather than a passive reactor. This single habit can be the foundation upon which all other Stoic practices are built. Habit number 2, practice negative visualization. Now, this might sound counterintuitive or even pessimistic at first, but stay with me, because this practice is one of the most powerful tools in the Stoic arsenal. Negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum, as the ancient Stoics called it, involves contemplating loss, imagining worst-case scenarios, and mentally preparing for adversity. But why would anyone want to think about bad things happening? Here's the profound wisdom behind it. When you regularly contemplate losing what you have, you develop a deep appreciation for its presence in your life, your relationships, your health, your opportunities. All of these become more precious when you acknowledge their impermanence. The Stoics weren't pessimists, they were realists who understood that attachment leads to suffering, and that by mentally preparing for loss, we become both more grateful and more resilient. Think about it this way: if you spend a few moments each morning imagining what it would be like to lose your job, you'll appreciate it more when you walk into the office. If you contemplate your loved one's mortality, you'll treat each interaction with them as the gift it truly is. This practice doesn't attract negativity, it immunizes you against it. When we avoid thinking about potential problems, we remain vulnerable to them. But when we face them mentally, we rob them of their power to devastate us. Epictetus taught that we should remember that everything we love is mortal and temporary. This isn't meant to depress us, but to liberate us from the tyranny of expectation and entitlement. Modern psychology has validated this. Ancient wisdom, through techniques like stress inoculation, where exposure to controlled doses of anxiety-producing stimuli builds resilience. The Stoics figured this out 2 millennia ago. So each morning, spend a few moments contemplating what you might lose. Feel the discomfort of that possibility, then open your eyes and recognize that right now, in this moment, you still have these blessings. This practice transforms gratitude from an abstract concept into a visceral, lived experience. Habit number 3. Journal your thoughts and actions. The examined life is not worth living, said Socrates, and the Stoics took this principle to heart through the practice of daily journaling. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, which has inspired millions across centuries, was essentially his personal journal. He never intended for it to be published. It was his private dialogue with himself, a tool for self-improvement and philosophical reflection. When you journal, you create a space for honest self-examination. You can't lie to the page, you can't perform for it or pretend to be someone you're not. In your journal, you confront the raw truth of who you are and who you're becoming. This practice serves multiple purposes. First, it provides clarity when your thoughts swirl chaotically in your mind. They create confusion and anxiety. But when you translate them into words on a page, they become manageable. You can examine them, question them, and often discover that the monsters in your head are far less frightening when exposed to the light. Second, journaling creates accountability. When you write down your intentions, your failures, and your progress, you create a record that doesn't let you deceive yourself. You can look back and see patterns, recognize where you've grown, and identify where you're stuck in destructive cycles. The Stoics recommend a specific journaling practice each evening. Before sleep, review your day. Ask yourself, what did I do well? Where did I fall short of my values? What could I have done differently? This isn't about self-flagellation. It's about honest assessment. Seneca advised that we should examine our entire day, reviewing each action and word, asking ourselves these questions. What bad habit have I cured today? What vice have I resisted? Where am I better? This nightly review, combined with morning intention setting, creates a powerful feedback loop of continuous improvement. You're not leaving your development to chance. You're actively sculpting your character day by day. In our modern world, where we're constantly distracted and rarely alone with our thoughts, journaling becomes even more critical. It's an anchor that keeps you tethered to what matters. Habit number 4. Control your reactions, not events. This is perhaps the most fundamental teaching of Stoicism, and it's encapsulated perfectly in Epictetus's famous words. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. We live in a world obsessed with control. We try to control our circumstances, other people's opinions, the weather, the economy. But the harsh truth is that almost everything external to us is beyond our control. The only thing we truly control is our own mind, our judgments, our reactions. This realization is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it means we can't blame circumstances for our unhappiness. Liberating because it means our well-being doesn't depend on external circumstances. Think about the last time someone cut you off in traffic or said something hurtful to you, or when plans you'd made fell through. In each case, the event itself was neutral. It was your interpretation and reaction that created your suffering. The Stoics teach us to create space between stimulus and response. When something happens, don't react immediately. Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, is this within my control? If it's not, let it go immediately. Save your energy for what you can influence. If it is within your control, decide consciously how you want to respond. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This doesn't mean becoming passive or accepting injustice. It means choosing your battles wisely and not wasting emotional energy on things you cannot change. In practice, this looks like accepting traffic delays without rage, because rage doesn't clear traffic. It looks like hearing criticism without defensiveness, because you're secure enough to evaluate whether it's valid. It looks like facing setbacks with equanimity, because you know they're temporary and don't define you. When you master this habit, you become unshakable. External chaos can swirl around you, but you remain centered, calm, and clear-headed. This is the essence of Stoic strength, not the absence of challenges, but the presence of unshakable inner stability. Habit number 5. Embrace discomfort. Voluntarily. We live in the most comfortable era in human history. We have climate control, unlimited entertainment, instant food delivery, and technology that shields us from almost every form of physical discomfort. But the Stoics understood something we've forgotten. Comfort isn't always good for us. In fact, too much comfort weakens us. Seneca, the wealthy advisor to emperors, would periodically live as if he were poor. He'd sleep on a hard floor, eat simple meals, and wear rough clothing. Why would someone with access to luxury choose discomfort? Because he understood that by voluntarily experiencing hardship, he was preparing himself mentally for the possibility of real hardship. He was also proving to himself that he could be happy without luxury. This practice, which the Stoics called voluntary discomfort or poverty training, serves several vital functions. First, it builds resilience. When you regularly expose yourself to cold showers, physical exercise, fasting, or other forms of controlled discomfort, you expand your tolerance for adversity. What once seemed unbearable becomes manageable. Second, it increases gratitude. When you spend a day fasting, your next meal tastes incredible. When you take a cold shower, your warm bed feels like heaven. Voluntary discomfort resets your hedonic baseline, making ordinary comforts feel like luxuries. Third, it breaks the chains of dependency. If you know you can be happy with very little, you're no longer enslaved to maintaining a certain lifestyle. Your happiness doesn't depend on circumstances remaining favorable. This is true freedom. Epictetus, who was born a slave and lived with a permanent disability from torture, understood viscerally that external conditions don't determine our well-being. He taught that we should regularly practice going without things we normally depend on to prove to ourselves that we're stronger than we think. In modern terms, this might mean taking cold showers, practicing intermittent fasting, exercising intensely, sleeping on the floor occasionally, or spending a day without any technology. It's not about being masochistic. It's about building mental and physical toughness. When you know you can handle discomfort, you stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing discomfort, you become truly free, because there's very little anyone can threaten you with. Habit number 6, practice mindful presence. The Stoics lived 2,000 years before mindfulness became a buzzword, but they understood its power intimately. Seneca lamented that people are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to wasting time, they're most extravagant with the one thing in which it's right to be stingy. We spend so much of our lives mentally absent, ruminating about the past or anxious about the future, that we miss the only moment we actually have, this one right now. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to confine yourself to the present. The past is gone. The future hasn't arrived. All we have is now. This isn't mystical philosophy, it's practical wisdom. When you're fully present, you make better decisions. You notice opportunities you would otherwise miss. You connect more deeply with people. You experience life more fully. But presence doesn't come naturally in our distracted age. It requires practice. The Stoics cultivated presence through several techniques. One was regular meditation, not in the modern sense of sitting with eyes closed, but in the sense of focused contemplation on philosophical principles. Another was the practice of prosoche, which means attention or vigilance. This involves maintaining continuous awareness of your thoughts and reactions, catching yourself when your mind wanders into useless worry or pointless resentment. Think about how often your body is in one place, but your mind is somewhere else entirely. You're having dinner with family, but thinking about work. You're at work, but thinking about a conversation you had yesterday. You're never fully anywhere. This divided attention creates a pervasive sense of dissatisfaction. The Stoics teach us to be where we are. If you're eating, taste your food. If you're walking, feel the ground beneath your feet. If you're conversing, truly listen instead of planning what you'll say next. This simple practice of returning your attention to the present moment again and again is meditation, and it's one of the most powerful habits you can develop. When you're present, you're alive. When you're lost in thoughts about past or future, you're a ghost haunting your own life. Habit number 7. Define your values and live by them. Most people drift through life without ever clearly defining what they stand for. They absorb values from society, from family, from media, without critical examination. The Stoics were different. They believed that philosophy wasn't abstract theory. It was a way of life, and living philosophically required crystal clarity about your values. What do you stand for? What principles guide your decisions? What kind of person do you want to become? These aren't rhetorical questions. They're foundational inquiries that determine the trajectory of your entire life. Epictetus taught that we should decide what kind of person we want to be and then act accordingly in every situation. This sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. It means you're not reactive, changing based on circumstances or other people's expectations. You're proactive, living according to your own conscious design. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These weren't abstract ideals. They were practical guides for decision-making. Before taking any action, a Stoic would ask, is this wise? Is it courageous? Does it demonstrate self-control? These 4 questions served as a moral compass. You can adopt these virtues or define your own. What matters is that you explicitly identify the principles you want to live by. Write them down, review them regularly, and most importantly, use them to guide your daily decisions. When you face a choice, ask yourself, which option aligns with my values? This simple question cuts through confusion and makes decisions much clearer. Living according to defined values also creates integrity in the true sense of the word, integration between what you believe and what you do. This integration produces a profound sense of self-respect and inner peace. You're not constantly at war with yourself trying to maintain an image that contradicts your actions. You become whole. In our modern world, where we're bombarded with conflicting messages about who we should be and what we should want, this practice of defining and living your values is a radical act of self-determination. You're not letting others define you. You're consciously choosing who you become. Habit number 8. Practice strategic silence. Talk is cheap and abundant. In our hyper-connected world, everyone is constantly expressing opinions, sharing thoughts, and broadcasting their lives. But the Stoics understood that there's tremendous power in silence. Epictetus advised, be mostly silent or speak merely what is necessary and in few words. This wasn't about being antisocial. It was about being intentional with speech. Words have power. They can heal or wound, inspire or discourage, build or destroy. The Stoics treated speech as they treated all actions as something requiring conscious choice. There are several dimensions to strategic silence. First, there's the practice of not speaking when you have nothing valuable to contribute. Modern culture pressures us to always have an opinion, to constantly engage. But sometimes the wisest response is no response. Second, there's the practice of not complaining. The Stoics observed that complaining is useless. It doesn't change circumstances, and it programs your mind to focus on problems rather than solutions. When you stop complaining, you redirect that energy toward constructive action. Third, there's the practice of not defending yourself against every criticism. When you're secure in your values and actions, you don't need others' approval. Silence in the face of criticism can be more powerful than any defense. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that if someone speaks badly of you, live so that no one will believe them. Your actions speak louder than your words or your protests. Fourth, there's the practice of listening more than speaking. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. When you truly listen, you learn. When you constantly talk, you only rehearse what you already know." Strategic silence also includes the practice of not revealing everything about yourself. Mystery creates respect. Restraint creates dignity. When you share indiscriminately, you diminish yourself. This doesn't mean being fake or deceptive. It means being selective about what you share and with whom. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. In practice, this habit transforms your communication. You speak less, but when you do speak, your words carry weight. People listen because you've earned their attention through restraint. You stop wasting energy on pointless arguments and explanations. You cultivate an air of quiet confidence that's far more compelling than constant self-promotion. Habit number 9. Perform regular self-reflection. The unexamined life is not worth living. This Socratic principle became central to Stoic practice. They believed that regular self-reflection was essential for growth. Without it, you simply repeat the same patterns, mistakes, and limitations forever. We've already discussed journaling, but self-reflection goes deeper. It's not just recording what happened. It's analyzing patterns, questioning motives, and consciously directing your development. Seneca practiced a nightly review. Before sleep, he would conduct a mental audit of his entire day, examining each action and decision. What did I do well? Where did I fall short? What could I have done differently? This wasn't about guilt or shame. It was about learning. Every day presents lessons, but only if you take time to extract them. Without reflection, experience doesn't teach you anything. You just accumulate years without wisdom. Marcus Aurelius used his morning time for a different type of reflection. He would prepare himself mentally for the day ahead. He'd remind himself of his values, anticipate challenges, and mentally rehearse how he wanted to respond. This combination of morning preparation and evening review creates a powerful cycle of continuous improvement. You're not leaving your development to chance. You're actively sculpting your character. The questions you ask during self-reflection are crucial. Here are some the Stoics used. Did I live according to my values today? Where did I let external circumstances control my emotions? What opportunities did I miss because of fear, laziness, or distraction? How did I treat others? Was I kind, patient, and just? What am I grateful for? What do I need to improve tomorrow? These questions keep you honest. They prevent self-deception, which is the greatest obstacle to growth. It's easy to construct narratives where we're always the hero or victim. Self-reflection dismantles these stories and reveals the truth. In our busy modern lives, we rarely pause to reflect. We move frantically from one thing to the next, never learning from experience. But 15 minutes of honest self-reflection can accelerate your growth, more than months of unreflective living. Make it a non-negotiable part of your daily routine. Habit number 10. Cultivate amor fati, love your fate. Of all the Stoic concepts, amor fati might be the most challenging and the most transformative. It means love of fate, the practice of not just accepting what happens, but actually embracing it, even loving it. This seems impossible at first. How can you love loss, failure, pain? But the Stoics understood something profound. Every experience, no matter how painful, contributes to who you become. And who you become is entirely up to you. Nietzsche, who was heavily influenced by Stoicism, summarized this beautifully. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. This doesn't mean being passive in the face of injustice or not working to improve your circumstances. It means wholeheartedly accepting reality as it is right now, while working to shape what comes next. The alternative to amor fati is constantly wishing things were different. This creates perpetual suffering. You're at war with reality, and reality always wins. When you practice amor fati, you recognize that everything that happens to you is raw material for growth. Lost your job? This is an opportunity to reassess your path and find something more aligned with your values. Relationship ended. This is a chance to understand yourself better and become a better partner. Serious illness. This is an invitation to examine what truly matters and live more intentionally. The Stoics believed that the universe is rational and that everything happens for a reason, even if we can't see it. Whether or not you believe this, the practice of acting as if it's true transforms your experience. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What is this teaching me?" This single shift in perspective changes everything. You move from victim to student, from passive to active. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every obstacle contains within it the seeds of equivalent or greater benefit. But only if you look for those seeds. Practicing amor fati means greeting each day, regardless of what it brings, with acceptance and even enthusiasm. It means finding the gift in every challenge. It means trusting that you have the inner resources to handle whatever comes. This practice creates an unshakable foundation of inner peace because you're no longer fighting reality, you're dancing with it. Habit number 11, memento mori. Remember you will die. This might seem morbid, but the Stoics considered it one of their most important practices. Memento mori, remember death, not to create fear or sadness, but to create urgency and perspective. Death is the one absolute certainty, yet we live as if we have infinite time. We postpone important conversations, delay pursuing our dreams, and waste precious hours on trivial nonsense. The Stoics kept death always in their awareness, not as a distant abstraction, but as an imminent reality. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. When you truly internalize your mortality, everything changes. Petty grievances become absurd. Why waste precious limited time being angry at someone who cut you off in traffic? Trivial concerns dissolve. Does it really matter what strangers think of you? Procrastination ends. If you knew you had 1 year to live, would you spend it scrolling social media, or would you pursue what truly matters? The practice of memento mori creates focus. It clarifies priorities. It strips away the non-essential. Steve Jobs, who was influenced by Eastern philosophy, which shares this principle with Stoicism, said, "Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life." Memento mori also creates gratitude. When you recognize that this day might be your last, it becomes infinitely precious. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. A conversation with a friend is no longer routine. It's a gift. A sunset is no longer background. It's a miracle. Your morning coffee transforms from a habit into a profound pleasure. The Stoics practiced this daily. Some wore rings inscribed with memento mori. Others, like Marcus Aurelius, wrote daily reminders in their journals. You might set a daily alarm with this reminder or place a symbol where you'll see it each morning. The point isn't to become morbid or depressed. It's to wake up to the preciousness of life. When you remember you'll die, you start truly living. Habit number 12, serve something greater than yourself. The final habit brings us full circle. Stoicism is often misunderstood as a philosophy of detachment or self-sufficiency, but the Stoics believed deeply in contribution and community. Marcus Aurelius, who had every reason to focus solely on his own pleasure and comfort, instead saw himself as serving the Roman people. He wrote at dawn, "When you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was? Born for the things I was brought into the world to do." The Stoics believed that humans are naturally social creatures designed to live in community and contribute to the common good. This isn't obligation, it's fulfillment. When you serve something greater than yourself, your own problems become smaller. Your life gains meaning beyond personal pleasure or achievement. This service can take many forms: raising children with intention and love, doing your work excellently, whether it's noticed or not, volunteering in your community, creating something of value, teaching what you know, fighting for justice, being a loyal friend. The specific form matters less than the orientation. Are you living solely for your own benefit, or are you contributing to something beyond yourself? Paradoxically, this outward focus creates inner peace. When your identity isn't entirely wrapped up in your own circumstances, you become less fragile. Your worth doesn't depend on your success or failure because it's grounded in contribution. The Stoics also believed that we're all connected parts of a larger whole. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What's bad for the hive is bad for the bee. When you harm others, you harm yourself. When you help others, you help yourself." This isn't mystical, it's practical. We live in communities. Our well-being is interconnected. In our modern individualistic culture, we've lost sight of this. We're encouraged to focus on self-optimization, self-promotion, self-care, all important but insufficient. True. Fulfillment requires contribution. So ask yourself, what am I serving beyond my own interests? How am I making the world even slightly better? What will I leave behind? These questions elevate your daily actions from mere personal maintenance to meaningful contribution. And meaning the Stoics understood is what makes a life worth living. Conclusion: your Stoic journey begins. Now we've explored 12 powerful habits that can transform your daily life, but knowledge without action is worthless. The Stoics were ruthless about this. Philosophy, they insisted, isn't about clever arguments or abstract theories, it's about how you live. So here's your challenge. Don't try to implement all 12 habits at once. That's a recipe for failure. Instead, choose one. Just one, master it for 30 days. Let it become automatic. Then add another. Maybe you'll start with waking early, claiming those precious morning hours for intention and reflection. Or perhaps you'll begin with journaling, creating that space for honest self-examination. Maybe strategic silence calls to you, learning to speak less and listen more. Whichever habit you choose, commit to it fully. Track it, refine it. Notice how it changes your experience. Because here's what the Stoics knew, and what modern psychology has confirmed: small, consistent actions compound over time. You don't transform your life through dramatic one-time efforts. You transform it through daily practices, repeated until they become who you are. Marcus Aurelius didn't become one of history's great philosopher kings. Through occasional effort, he practiced these principles every single day, even while running an empire dealing with war, plague, and personal tragedy. If he could do it in those circumstances, you can do it in yours. Remember, the goal isn't perfection. You'll fail at these practices regularly. You'll wake up late, react emotionally, waste time, forget your values. This is normal. It's part of being human. What matters is that you return to the practice again and again, without judgment but with determination. Over time, these habits will reshape your mind. You'll notice that you're calmer in chaos, more focused amid distraction, more present in each moment, more aligned with your values, more resilient in adversity. You'll become the kind of person you admire, not through magic or luck, but through daily intentional practice. This is the Stoic way, not passive philosophy, but active training, not hoping for a better life,